been dating for 2 years. We're getting married in 4 days. It feels like it's been 12. So much has happened in such a short period of time.
Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Adam McFarland and his lovely fiance, Amari Guisinger.
I was praying very hard for a partner. In every conversation, she would reaffirm something that God had put on my heart as something that I needed to have in a partner, whether that be the intellect, obviously the beauty, even like a business mindset we'll get to in a minute, the yin to my yang, the things that I don't have, she has, the things that she doesn't have, which is nothing I have.
Where were you at in your single season?
Ooh, I was done. I was never a list girl, and I wrote a list of things that I wanted in my partner.
It's our Sierra prayer.
He was getting out of a relationship. My mom was preparing for a transplant. I'm the only child. My dad passed away. So I was also trying to be cognizant of what I could handle emotionally. So then I was like, just let it be. Like, maybe God is sending you somebody to help you through this. And my mom calls me, and she's like, hey, if I can get to Scottsdale, Arizona in like 10 hours, I can get a transplant tonight. And he's like, oh, I'm going to take y'all. He wheels her into her transplant. Prays over my mom. Literally, I'm like, this is a husband. This is my husband. I look back at my little 6 things or whatever, and he was all 6 things.
Y'all can interview yourself.
I've never been this happy in my life.
What are you looking forward to in marriage?
How real could I be?
Very real. This is Dear Future Wifey. That's a yellow couch. It's transparent.
I'm looking forward to.
The Dear Future Wifey podcast has global impact. From Texas.
I have been on this journey of healing and self-discovery, and this podcast has been a vital part of my process.
Guyana.
God's establishing through you a legacy, a display of freedom found in authentic spirituality.
California.
I've learned so much as a single man through your podcast and continue to learn so much as now a married man.
Nigeria.
This is just therapy for me. I've been healed. I've been strengthened in my convictions. I've understood how to do singlehood better.
Amsterdam.
The way that you've shown us how it is possible for a man to be as intentional as you are.
New Jersey.
I appreciate your vulnerability. I appreciate just being able to see that there is life after divorce.
To New York.
I am a single woman, so these episodes really give me hope and courage that God does have a husband for me.
Discover, uncover, and recover love. I'm Lateris R. Whitfield, and this is season 10 of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Lateris R. Whitfield. Listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. Listen, season 10 has been off the charts. It's been amazing. I love the guests that God has been bringing on the Dear Future Wifey podcast. And today's guest is no exception. I love it when God allows me to have conversations with people that are engaged, about to embark on their nuptials, and me knowing what God is going to do after their I do's. So without further ado, welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. My homie, Adam McFarland, and his lovely fiance, Amari Guisinger. How y'all doing?
Doing well. Amazing. Thank you, Terrence. Appreciate you, brother.
Amari, now Adam, he said, I got to talk to the fiance to see if she's comfortable doing stuff like this. So let me ask you, are you comfortable?
I am.
Okay, why would you put yourself on these YouTube streets and talk about your relationship journey?
This relationship has just been so magical. Like, it's the most amazing time of my life, and like, it just feels like the right thing to do. And being married to this man.
You ain't married yet? You ain't married?
Not yet, but if you know this man, you have to be on the stage. Like, knowing him and his family, I'm sure we'll talk a bit about it today. But
you said, know this man, you got to be on the stage.
You have to. He's going to find a mic.
Comes with the territory.
It comes with being his fiance.
I love it. Were you like that originally? Or are you the type of person that's more behind the scenes and more, look at Adam looking? She not. Amari,
she does both.
Yeah, you do both? I do both.
So I vacillate between both worlds.
Okay. Do both.
So what do you do for a living?
I am in marketing. I work at Google, and I've been in marketing my entire career.
Oh, so you work at Google and you work at YouTube.
Yes, sir. We both work at Google. So.
Okay, y'all both work at Google. A marriage that happened before the I do, huh? Just by corporate. So Adam,
yes,
let's go back to the beginning.
Yes, sir.
When a man decides to marry a woman, he takes a lot, typically, he takes a lot of forethought about it. is very intentional. He weighs against himself to say, am I ready to take this leap? He compares women across the world, his dating experience, and they say, this is the best choice that I believe God has afforded me.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that process for you.
Absolutely. So it's interesting. I'm 36 and I have lived a very full life. I have lived in multiple different cities around the U.S., which we'll probably get to in a second. Have dated a lot of different styles and types of women. But the thing that really struck me about, first of all, like we said earlier, Amari and I actually worked in the same place, but we don't work for necessarily the same companies, right?
Okay.
So we shared a building, and I would see her around a lot. And I would say, that's a really beautiful, clearly, gorgeous young lady. But also wanted to really do the right thing professionally, and also by her to approach her appropriately.
But did you speak to her at all though when you saw her?
Just hi and bye.
That's it.
Hi, how you doing? Hope everything's okay. And also, there's we work at Google. There's not a really significant number of Black people at our organization. So when you see Black people in the office, you got to give them that head, what's up, brother, sister? I see you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm here for you.
I'm here for you.
If you're there, I'm still here for you. All right. So anyway, so we're doing that, and we all do that thing. And one day, two things happened, and we have differing opinions on how this happened, but. There's a really amazing gathering space, a community space, communal space called The Gathering Spot. There's one in DC, one in Atlanta, one in LA. And Mari and I are both part of the founding members of the LA Center. And I was sitting there one day with another really good friend of mine, Luke Lawal, shout out to the Qs. We were just kicking in, talking, and this young lady walks over to our table and she's like, hey, don't I know you from somewhere? And I was like, yeah, maybe, I don't know. Where do you? We ended up, we obviously work at the same place, but I always say that was really her shooting her shot.
Amari, was you shooting your shot?
No.
What was you doing?
I saw somebody I worked with, and the same thing he was saying, hey, Black man, I see you.
Right. Hey, beautiful Black man, I see you. Yeah,
I see you.
Yeah,
I see you.
Yeah. So that was the first time, and but again, very respectful. And that was the thing that I will say from the beginning. Even when I would see Amari around the office, I guess the point that I'm making is you never know who's watching. You never know who your partner is or who it could potentially be. You never know what light or lack thereof you are shining into the world until something like this happens, right? Until there becomes a moment where you realize, or maybe you don't realize, but you're actually, rubbing elbows with your future forever.
Yeah.
And so I will say, she always carried herself with extreme dignity. Obviously, she's gorgeous, and she's very, smart and articulate. You can just tell it's very intelligent. So I just, at a distance, said hello. We had that one kind of interaction, and then fast forward to about March of 2023. Yep. Oh my goodness. Because it hasn't even been that long. It's been 2 years. March of 2023. At YouTube, we still do these well-versed writing camps where you would essentially bring a bunch of artists and songwriters and producers to a room to write music for a week. And then at the end of the week, we do an industry mixer where we invite people that are part of the business out to come and kind of listen to what it was that we were able to create over the course of the week. And we also I invite a bunch of people from the office, and I invited a friend of Amari's over, to the writing camp at the studio in Hollywood. And she says, yeah, I'd love to come. Can I bring a friend? And I was like, sure. I'm thinking she's going to bring some guy she's dating at the time. You know what I mean? We're all single. We're all trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I host these events, and I'm standing on stage, and I look out into the crowd, and this gorgeous human being walks in, and I promise you, it was who had an orchestra playing? I don't know. There was a fog machine, smoke came out of nowhere. The clouds parted, and there was a chorus, and everything stopped as she walked in the room, and I decided literally in that moment, I was like, today's the day. We are off campus. I am going to
shoot my shot.
I'm going to at least talk to her. And before I knew it, my feet were moving before my mouth or my mind was ready. And I was in front of her, and we had a very cursory conversation. I think I said something like, have you ever been to a studio before? And she was like, no, which was a lie because she used to live in a studio. So we just like trying to figure out how to keep this going. But it was amazing. And again, a studio is not a place where you give someone a tour. It's like, here's a room where they make music. Here's another room where they make music, But it was great. And we just kicked it. And literally every day since then, we have not stopped speaking. We have not stopped talking. And again, to button the story up, I think the thing that I realized about Amari was one, I was really in a place where I was praying very hard for a partner. And I actually was in a relationship previously that did not go well. I was engaged, and it did not pan out to me marrying the person. And it was no fault of that person. It just wasn't the right time. And I wasn't ready personally. And so I got to this place where I was like, hey man, I'm 35, 34 at the time. I'm ready. I have a beautiful example of what partnership can be and should be in my mother and my father. And that's something that I want for myself. Maybe it's not for everybody, but it's definitely for me. And I need to find someone who I have like mutual respect for, that I click with and connect with in ways that are going to allow for us to do life together, to build an empire and legacy together. And Amari, just in every conversation, she would reaffirm something that God had put on my heart as something that I needed to have in a partner, whether that be the intellect, whether obviously the beauty, or whether that be even like a business mindset we'll get to in a minute, like the yin to my yang, the things that I don't have, she has, the things that she doesn't have, which is nothing I have. So it just worked out. And it was exactly what, again, like I truly think God directed Amari to be in the situations where we ended up being, so that we would be where we are today.
So sweet.
It's my mother.
You said a lot of powerful statements.
I said a lot.
And I'm trying to figure out which one I want to jump on first. The one that gave me a visceral reaction, an emotional reaction, is when a man has the emotional aptitude to know that he's missing something that his wife is the answered prayer for. I want to unpack that. Because a lot of times we're led by ego, where it's like, oh, I don't need no woman. Listen, I got here on my own. I'm successful. I did what I did. You just need to jump on my ship and let me take the lead on here, because I know what I'm doing here. Why did you say what you said?
I think it's like, again, there's, even in nature, like I grew up on a cattle ranch. My family owns one of the largest Black-owned cattle ranches in America. And I grew up at a very early age, learning just in experiencing the beauty and the miracles of life, right? The masculine and the feminine, and how those two things play together in concert in nature and in the world. The idea and the concept of creativity, and the idea that we are all made in the image of the Creator. And as such, we then have that same strength, that same power that lives inside of us, the ability to create. Birth and death, life and death, and all these, this dichotomy of things that exist within our world. You find that, and what I find is there is, there's light and there's dark. There's one side and then there's the other. And there are extremes to those things, and then there's spectrums in between. There's literally gray area in between. And what I have really found over time, just my personal experience have driven me to see that in the light and in the dark, or in the gray area in between, there is a combination of energies. There's a combination of thoughts. There's a combination of creativity and innovation that leads to the creative power that lives within us. And our ability to harness and leverage and use that creative power is dependent upon our ability to leverage and transcend those different modalities, those different energies, those different concepts, ideas, spiritualities, or principalities, right? No one person has everything within themselves. No one human being, there is only one perfect human being, and that's Jesus Christ. And beyond that, there is all of these really flawed people.
Yep.
And the beauty, though, is just like a puzzle piece, for all the flaws that exist within me, I truly believed and manifested. I truly believe, through my belief and faith in God, I manifested the other portion of my puzzle that allowed for me to leverage those different modalities and ideals and those aspects of creativity that were missing within me. And that is a very spiritual thing. And I think very often people think, the idea of finding a partner, finding a mate is luck. or it's chance or right place, right time. No, it is just like with everything else. There is a physical body that exists here, and there's a spirit man that lives within us. And that spirit man that lives within us is constantly moving through this world, interacting with things that we cannot see, touch, or feel. And as we, again, harness and leverage the power of that thing that we can't see, touch, or feel, that is, some people call it karma. You know what I mean? That is moving in a spirit world that is bringing or pushing away things that you need or that you want.
Bringing or pushing away. Yeah. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
So I say all that to say that the act of attracting Amari, this part of me that was missing, was a very intentional one. It was prayer and supplication. It was fasting. I really want to talk about fasting in a minute too, because that's something that is like completely changed our lives. Like the act and the concept of sacrifice in the name of the other is something that has like shifted not just the way that we interact with and view each other, but also our responsibility to the world more broadly. And also, again, like that is the thing. Those are the kind of like very intentional things that I did to cause my ability to find and attract and to bring to me the thing that was missing. The things that were missing is the aspects and the personalities and the character traits that were missing that are going to force me and my family into, you know, the very bright and very lucrative and very happy and joyous future that we're headed towards.
Adam, we can go back and forth and just talk right there, but I'm gonna give Amari her respect because I gotta bring this queen into the conversation.
Oh, baby.
Amari, what do you think? What are you thinking when you're hearing this?
Love him.
What do you love about what he's saying? He said he had to get to a heart posture of sacrifice, a heart posture of fasting, a heart posture of manifesting the things that he lacked. He has the emotional awareness to know he lacked these things, and he, through prayer and supplication, manifested the very part that was extracted from him, that missing rib, into his life to bring a complete marriage, and you are that missing rib. How do you feel about that?
That is beautiful. Like me?
Talking about me? Oh, look. Think all that about little old me?
Little me. No, it's fascinating. And I think too, like even just watching him when he's like trying to hear God and like watching him fast and like see his approach to like what he's looking for, is just beautiful because I see this side of it, but I didn't see it before.
Of course.
So it's like to know him and to know his discipline and how in tune he is with spirituality, I think it's just like even more confirmation I'm in the right place. But like it's inspiring, and like he has really brought a lot of his values and that entire relationship. And I'm just so happy. We're getting married on Sunday. So
listen, y'all, they're getting married 4 days from now.
Yes.
4 days.
This today is May the 14th.
Yeah.
Yes.
May the 14th. And y'all be
14th.
getting married on the 18th, right?
Yes, sir.
That's Sunday. So May the 18th. I don't know when this episode will air, but they would be married by the time this episode airs. Where were you at in your single season?
Ooh, child.
Were you getting weary in your well-doing?
I honestly just subscribed to like Rich Auntie. Like
You said I ain't gonna get married.
I was done.
You was
I
done.
was finished. I was like, I think too, when you work on yourself, you start to understand like maybe you were in an unhealthy relationship, or you start to think about like what you do and what you don't want. And I was like, I don't want any of that. And I want a relationship that puts God first, and I want a healthy relationship. I want to be with someone that's emotionally mature and can say like, I am lacking X, and I hadn't been in relationships like that. And so I think getting out of that, and then when you realize I'm good by myself, I'm fine with this, I was there, and I told myself, I'm not dating. I'm not interested in dating. Like our first date, we both were like, listen, we don't even want this relationship thing. Cause like,
y'all both said that?
We both did. It was just like, it was just.
Hold on, y'all went on the first date to say y'all don't want a relationship?
We'll get there too. But I literally I wrote down a list. I was never a list girl. And I wrote a list of things that I wanted in my partner. And I was like, you will not date anyone unless they are these. And it was only like 6 things, but they were very important things. And like, I was like, I'm just not going to do it.
Do you mind sharing some of those things?
It's her Sierra prayer.
My Sierra prayer.
It's your Amari prayer.
The Amari prayer. What you have? What was about 3 of the 6 things?
You have to love God. Like, you have to. Like, that's it. That's all. Like, that's the first thing. And I had been in relationships where that wasn't obvious. And
she said, obvious.
I didn't know what he believed. I was like, I don't know. Like, so that's like first and foremost. Second is like, you have to really love yourself.
Yes.
And when you see that people don't love themselves, and it's like, there's nothing I can do if you don't love yourself.
But how does that show up though? Ugh. How does not loving yourself show up?
It shows up in like them taking their insecurities out on you, or them not investing in like healing their childhood wounds and dragging you through it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if I'm working on my stuff, I need you to work on your stuff.
Absolutely.
And so like getting older and realizing this in relationship, I'm like, I'm just not going to do that. And if you're not committed to your own individual growth and healing, then I don't really want to be a part of that.
That's good.
So I had my little list, and like, you have to love what you do in your life. And like, you know, Adam, you know, he loves what he does. All 18,000 things he does.
So what's your job title?
Right now, I am the global. It just changed global. Communities and Culture Engagement Manager.
The Global Communities
and Culture
and Engagement Manager.
So I essentially do partnerships at YouTube. So I help
partnerships with what? Like
with artists, with creators, with anyone, and content creators, with even festivals, with community organizations, with collectives of people, with networks of content creators. But we do a lot of work to help just support people on platform, teach people how to monetize. I'll do the work thing for a second, but the huge issue with people's capacity to monetize on YouTube isn't a creativity problem or isn't someone's capacity to be great. It's not the art. It's the understanding. It's the education. It's an education gap, very similar to most things. So as you better understand how to navigate the platform, how to leverage best practices, how to use some of our priority products, then inevitably you make more money on our platform.
See, I asked you that for a friend, and the friend is me. The friend is me. I was like, oh, what do you do? Because I get a lot of people that sit on this couch, and I'll hear what they do, and it just, I'll be like, oh, that's dope, dope. But I never think of it like, can I benefit from that?
Yeah,
you know, I'd be like, oh, that's great, that's amazing.
We'll set up a B meeting.
Yeah, we definitely will. And I was like, hold on, what do you do again? So yeah, asking for a friend, the friend is me. And so when you hear him speak of, no, I'm going to back up. I'm going to say this real quick because y'all said something that I want to go back to. Y'all first date.
Oh, yes. So that day, we had like exchanged numbers and stuff. And then I was flying to New York for work and I had a very early flight. And the next day he had like asked me if I would go out on a date and go grab a drink or something. Yeah. And I was like, no. Literally, I was like, absolutely no. I have an early flight.
Like
I need to prepare.
Flight. Oh, 6 a.m.
I needed to walk through my presentation. Like I needed to it was a big meeting.
And Amari's
what's your title?
Planner.
So what's your title? What do you do?
I do marketing. And so in this particular role, I was going to go meet with like a CMO of one of our like partner companies. So I needed to be polished and well rested and all this stuff.
And you be serious about that, huh?
Oh, I was very serious until I kid you not, God was on my heart because I was like packing, getting ready. And I just kept hearing like, just go. It's just like 1 hour. Yeah. Go, just say hi, do something. And I texted him back and I was like, okay, 1 drink. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but you have to come to this wine bar by my house because it's literally on the corner and I don't have to go far and like I can do all these things. And literally we sat down and we didn't go there because it was closed. We went to another place. We sat down and we talked for like 6 hours.
Yeah. God, dog, you had a flight.
I had a flight the next day. Yeah. And we talked for the whole night. And I was like, I woke up the next morning so tired, barely made my flight because I just was having the time of my life. Yeah. But in that conversation, it was kind of like, we both were kind of like, I don't know. Let's just
it was wild to me because like that's how we started. But I think by the end of the conversation, I was like, "Oh, this is more than what I thought. She's more than a pretty face." You know what I mean?
So you started off saying, ain't interested in a relationship? Both y'all was saying we're not
It was more
interested?
like we don't want to do
more
nothing
like we
too,
don't want to
like-
jump into.
Yes.
We were both getting out of relationships.
Yes.
Okay.
We were both like, we don't want to just jump into
Yes.
another relationship. So you know what it was? We were very
better said.
forthcoming about our past with
That's
each other
good.
immediately. It
That's
was like,
good.
hey, I was like, I just broke off an engagement. Like, so like
I don't-
it's not a good time for me right now. But you are dope. So
So
I
how
wanna
far
spend some
removed
time.
were you from that? The engagement?
It was an engagement that had been broken off like a year prior, and then we tried to bring it back, and then we ended up breaking up.
And so from the last time of bringing it back and you meeting her was about how far?
Couple months. Like
couple months. So, yeah, so in your mind,
4 months. Yeah.
And you like, I ain't trying to do nothing serious.
I was not.
And then
And
you,
I'm
how
like,
far?
you probably need time.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
And
She
then
literally
what
was like,
I
no.
was way further out. I think I was like over a year. So yeah.
But in your mind, you were still saying, you were still resolved in the rich auntie era.
Oh, yes. I was there. But until literally at the end of this conversation, I was like, ooh, I like him.
Yeah.
And like we had
Hold on, let me
time.
ask you this. Did you check yourself, 6 hours later, and you say, I like him? Did you try to come against that and be like, hold on, I don't want to feel this right now? Or did you submit to it and go, it's okay for me to like him, even though he's been out of relationship 2 months, but I'm gonna allow myself the opportunity to explore? Or did you start getting into self-sabotage?
Right. I literally was I leaned in because I hadn't liked anybody like that. I was like, oh, what is this? Like, I'm very in tune
What is
with my
this feeling?
feelings.
What is this
like,
feeling?
I'm like, something's happening
seriously.
here. Oh my gosh.
She don't be liking people.
I don't. So
Like,
it's
yeah.
like,
She don't be liking people.
I'm like,
She does
okay,
not.
I feel it. I was on the plane the next day.
She'll love you. She don't gotta like you.
That's true. That's true.
She like, hi. She
Yeah.
like-
Oh, yeah.
You be like, she don't like it.
I can tell immediately based on the high. You be like,
Based on the
oh,
high.
I know that one.
I know that.
I'd be like, can I keep him?
I know that high.
But on the plane the next day, I was like thinking about him, and I was like, wow, like this is interesting. But he was getting out of a relationship. My mom was preparing for a transplant, or she was preparing to go on a transplant list at the time. I'm the only child. My dad passed away, so like,
Sorry to hear that.
it's okay. I was very young. Thank you. And like,
And the reason why I wanted to pay attention to that is because, especially as y'all are approaching the wedding, those feelings of his absence, of not giving you away in that moment, is going to have a moment with you.
we had those tears.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Big time.
And so I was also trying to be cognizant of what I could handle emotionally, because my mom we had been on this journey for so long. And so I was just like, I literally can't handle like emotional drama right now. Like I have to be a support system for my mom and myself. And it was a lot. So I was talking myself out of it. Like, I'm like, okay, you can't handle this right now. But then like we were both just traveling for work for like a month or so.
Yeah.
And we FaceTimed every day.
Yep.
And like,
after that day, we didn't see each other for like basically an entire month, except for one time.
You're talking in person, but it was on FaceTime.
Yeah.
well,
Every
he's
day.
so cute. Our second date was like, we were only going to be in the city for like 2 hours, and we happened to be in the airport passing each other. Yeah, like
So that's that old movie stuff.
no, it really.
Yeah.
The whole relationship.
That's a
was
movie.
movie.
That's a movie.
But it was like I was landing, and he was going to a music festival or
London
something.
or something.
I don't know.
Actually, no. I think it was going to somewhere.
I mean, he was just going to London, maybe.
Something
Just,
casual.
or maybe Dubai. I mean, just, who knows with Adam? You know,
Literally, you never know. That's the thing.
I deserve that one.
Keep you on your toes. He keeps you on your toes. But he was like, I want to take you on a date to the Delta Sky Lounge.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a love language.
Everything on me, baby.
Everything.
Yeah, everything gonna be, baby. I got you. All you can eat.
Look, all you can drink, all you can eat.
So we
Got
did the
you.
same thing, like talking, and I just enjoyed. He has to catch a flight though, so I'm like, dang, I am so sad that he's leaving. We went and did the travel thing for like another month or so.
Month or so, yeah.
And it was just like, but we had so much time to just get to know each other on the phone.
Yep.
So then I was like, just let it be. Like, maybe God is sending you somebody to help you through this.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, maybe that's it.
The reason why I was hoping you said that is because what happens with a lot of people, help me, Holy Spirit, is that we'll say, I got all this, my mom is going through this, I'm feeling this and that, and I'm just going to do that by myself, instead of saying, but could God be bringing you a helper that you don't have to go through that you can have a confidant, you can have somebody that can carry you, cover you, be a safe space for you to be able to go, let me escape into the arms of this person, to be able to feel a place of solace, a place of peace, to be able to say, let me go to Adam, a spiritual in and of itself.
I have goosebumps because that is literally this relationship. Like, that is how it happened. And I was fighting it. I was fighting because I was so scared of getting hurt again, or like finding myself in some unhealthy relationship. And like, I just didn't have the capacity for all of that. And it literally happened just that way. Like, I'll fast forward to the moment, but like, my mom she didn't get approved to be on the transplant list. So we're like, we don't know what's happening. She's very sick. And I'm like, we're just trying to make her feel better. We were out, we have an Airbnb out in the desert. We were out at the house. And this might have been like, our 5th date or 6th date or something like that?
Like 5th or 6th date. It was like, we did music festivals too. That was the other thing.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
we did, in between, and then, so it was like a whirlwind of fun.
Yes.
But simultaneously, it was almost like escapism, because simultaneously, Amari's dealing with like some really heavy stuff back home. Yeah. And like her mother, like not doing well. And so we were out every time. It was like, I wanted to make it a point to be like, hey, there's more to life than the negative things that are happening. There's more to life in general. We traveled, like we literally went everywhere. Anyway, so all that to say, we're at our house. Amari had bought 2 homes in the desert.
Yeah.
All right, big baller.
In big baller. You hear me? We'll talk more about that in a second too. Because that's another thing that was also very impressive and very attractive to me.
She said 2.
Is that someone who had their stuff together, and again, obviously we both had really great jobs and we worked at a very competitive place. So it wasn't a question of just like intellect, but also like your ability to organize your finances in a way such that you're able to purchase 2 homes on your own. That was
and that's not the house you were living in. One of them,
and another one too. Just to live in,
So 3,
literally
3s, please.
Yeah.
And so, in that moment of this escapism, did you feel guilty? Because sometimes you can get guilty, like I'm doing all this fun stuff, but my mom is suffering.
Oh, I definitely did. But I also knew that you have to take care of yourself to help somebody else. So I was trying to balance like my own mental health and well-being with being a caregiver and being her support system, and like, but also my grief because it's my mom, but she's like also being like there for her because I'm her friend.
Yep.
And so I went through all of the emotions. And so like, this particular week.
Soldier. Amazing.
Thanks, man.
Just phenomenal human being. Like going through all of that, that's mental gymnastics every day.
Yes.
Just like I was also watching her like be on the phone with the doctors and becoming a liver doctor. Like literally she was, what are the A3C numbers and AST? And I see there's a dip in this and y'all didn't address this. And I'm like, yo, she's
not my mama.
Not my mama. Like
not on my watch.
I'm witnessing all of this in real time. And I will say all of this is adding to the texture of our relationship.
Yep.
And that's the reason, I mean, we've been dating for 2 years. We're getting married in 4 days. It feels like it's been 12.
Yeah.
Because so much has happened in such a short period of time. But again, I truly think that's just God. Like, I need y'all on that accelerated track because y'all got something to do for me.
But it's also like that moment too. I want to bring it back to like the moment because when she was getting sicker and they wouldn't let her on the list. And I was just like, because you have to be very sick to get a transplant. And she was sick, but there were other people sicker than her, which is just hard to watch. And like that weekend, so they said no or whatever. It was at the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale. And they were like, we'll try again in like a year or so. So she's like, we just try to keep her comfortable and her spirits up for a year until we try again, right? And so like, we're at the desert house and my mom calls me and she's like, hey, she's in LA. We might be like, 2 or 3 hours away. And she's like, hey, if I can get to Scottsdale, Arizona in like 10 hours, I can get a transplant tonight. Now, mind you.
What?
Yes.
What?
God.
Yes, literally. And this is like, they just said no. Tonight. And I'm like in the desert. My mom is in LA at my house in Inglewood and we have to get 8 hours to Arizona or whatever the drive was.
It's like 6.
And like, mind you, my dad died in surgery. So I already got a little PTSD about people going into surgery in general, especially parents. When you lost one, you have one left. So I'm sitting on the edge of the bed, and Adam is like, you look like you saw a ghost or something. I was like, my mom, they just approved her to get this transplant tonight, and I have to get her to Arizona in like 8-10 hours. And he's like, oh, I'm gonna take y'all. And I'm like, oh, no. This is too intimate. This is a real relationship.
Yeah.
That's too close. Like, I don't know. Like, absolutely not. He's like, I know it's a lot, but like, please, like, let me just take y'all. You're not in a good place to drive. She can't drive. Like, y'all are going to be emotional. Let me do it. Adam had to work in Miami that next day or something.
Really? So you're going to try to juggle both of that, drive there, then get to work in Miami?
Absolutely.
You showing up as a husband.
Okay. I never felt that level of like support, somebody like showing up for me who didn't even really know us like that, you know?
Yeah.
He drives my mom. So we literally go back. He picks up my mom. We take her. She has her like, there's like a, you have whatever you want kind of thing. We take her to In-N-Out, and like they're getting to know each other in the car ride to Arizona. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my gosh, like
this is moving real fast.
It's moving real fast. Like, so we literally like get to Arizona. I have a video. He wheels her into her transplant, like prays over my mom, and I'm sitting there like, okay, Lord, that's my husband. Okay, that's it. Okay, this is it. I'm gonna marry this man, because like I never felt, and I was juggling with, why does this feel like I'm scared to like let him help? But this is also probably like the answer to my prayer. So like, how do you just let go and let God? And literally like, she goes into surgery. He goes to Miami for his event. He comes back and moves to Scottsdale to help me care for my mom.
Girl, if you don't get somewhere and go,
I kid you not.
Quit playing with me.
I kid you not. He like giving her foot massages, like driving around, like letting me go to the gym so that I can rest my mind. And like, it's also balancing the dynamics of my family that's coming to visit. And like, literally, I'm like, this is a husband. This is my husband. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to fight this blessing, because I look back at my little 6 things or whatever, and he was all 6 things. And I was like, this is it. Like, I'll do it. Like, I'm here, God. Like, I thank you.
Y'all can interview yourself. I'm done. Y'all just take over. Y'all just interview, talk to him. I need a whole moment over here. Let me tell you something. When I say I love it when a man gets it right, we hear so many times men not showing up properly. Women having to deal with struggle of women having to deal with men mismanaging their love, their trust, their hearts, their bodies. And to hear you, Adam, which is such a spiritual name, you know, being the first that shows up and loves her properly, to cover her in the absence of her father, to take on that mantle, emphasis on man, to give her a covering that was no fault of her father's own, but, you know, he passed away, and then God uses you in this specific moment while her mom, the fear that she's wrestling with about the possibility of losing her mom in this surgery, that trauma revisits itself, and then you cover her in such a way that she can release, relax, and allow you to love her in this intimate space. It became so intimate that as you were willing her mom, she said, that's my husband. Oh, Lord.
That's good.
I can show you the video.
I appreciate you.
I was like, okay.
For summarizing that for us. So eloquently.
I'm a storyteller, and I love this stuff, man. And I love it when men get it right. But I also love it when a woman allows it.
Does she have a tissue? She's really, it's coming. Yeah. I know that much.
I also love it when when a woman allows it. Sarah Jake said that she was on my podcast, and she said, if women are honest, they get scared when a real one shows up. They're so used to dealing with counterfeits and frauds that a real one causes you to put your big girl panties on and show up in a way that you've never showed up before. And that can be fearful.
Yes.
Sometimes women sabotage that. Sometimes women overcome that and be like, God, okay, The shoe's not going to fall off. This is my husband. I can trust. I can relax. I'm not going to think negative over the situation. I'm going to embrace it. Whitney, the girl who became notorious when her wig fell off of my episode.
I love that episode.
It's hilarious.
I love that. I love her. She's hilarious.
She is the bomb. She said when she was faced with D'Angelo, she rejected him 4 times in their dating journey. And she says, sometimes you got to push past yourself to embrace what you said you wanted. You said you have this list, and God said, I'll take this list and raise you things you didn't put on this list. 100%. You put these 6 things, and I'm gonna give you stuff that you couldn't even fathom.
100%.
Are you gonna receive it?
Yeah,
that's so real.
Were there moments where you were challenged and this good thing began to be too good for you?
Oh, there's so many challenges, but like not too good, but it's just like it really forced me. Like you said, you have to put your big girl panties on, but like I realized I'd never been in a relationship to challenge me in the way that this one has. And it's like, it's the relationship that has pushed me to become the woman I wanted to be.
There it is.
And it's like, I never saw what that took. I never knew what that took. Like, and I think this one, I was like, okay, you really gotta get your life together. Like, you really gotta put away the childish things, everything though. Like, and I had to really wake up and rise to the occasion because it showed me so much of what I wanted. And it was like, I just never knew until this relationship.
And he said the same thing, and I'm gonna ask him, can you speak on something specific first, Amari, that you said this thing right here has to die in order for me to embrace the new version of me that I want? Anything specific?
So many things. I feel like Adam has really Adam is a very intentional man. Like, and I can't say that I had been like, I'm like, I write like goals down and stuff and I cross things off lists, but like he has forced me to like be intentional and like in a way that I just wasn't. And like, it has really helped me to just grow and mature, like how he fasts, like, or how he prays and how diligent he is about like getting up for church on Sunday, like I would go, but I'm like, oh, are we going to go to the 9:30 or 7:30? Like, he's like, no, up at 7, like we going to church right now. And like, he has brought such rigor around like relationship and even our relationship in like a way that I didn't have before. And I just think there's so many specific things that are also in my mind. You call me out on something. What's something you've seen
that we have to like confront? I think I'll say one. I think that there's this real like responsibility as a man to be the leader, to approach your bride as Christ approached the church, right? And I think the thing that we need to realize about Jesus is that there's a lot of portions of the Bible where Jesus is a servant and he's soft. There are also portions of the Bible where Jesus was strong. He's a warrior and he's decisive and intentional. And he is not this soft, very, very nice guy.
That part.
He's someone that like you have to listen to and, for lack of a better term, submit to.
Yep.
And so I think a lot of people talk about submission from the perspective of what like the woman is responsible for in the relationship. And we all know that the verse says submit thyself one to another. So there is also submission that happens on the side.
Reciprocal.
I think the thing that we had to, and this is for both of us, is what does submission look like for you, right? Like if I'm a very strong, intentional warrior spirit, submission looks like traditional submission.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe pulling back in some ways when necessary. But if I am someone who is soft-spoken and sweet and then submission might actually look like me being more assertive and speaking up in moments when I am the authority or God has given me the gift to lead in this way. And that's one thing that I think that we've been struggling with, but it's not a struggle, it's actually an opportunity to grow, is Amari's assertion of leadership in our relationship and what it looks like for my partner and my wife to also be a leader in this relationship. Me being the head of the household, but Amari being able to leverage and flex the things that she's really good at. Amari has an MBA. Very few people make spreadsheets stronger than Amari Guisinger, right? Being a partnership in finance in my relationship has led to us getting into a place where, hey, there are moments where I do need you to speak up a bit more about how we're performing financially, because you have the model in your head and because you understand it a little bit better than me. And I need you to explain that to me. And there are times when me, with all this fire and all this passion and all this strength, are going to lead us not in the direction, lead us to our own direction instead of direction of what God has for us, because the pathway of not just leadership, I'm a leader, the pathway of divine understanding and intention in our relationship in this particular way is supposed to come from you. And so that idea of submission is something that I think we have been toiling with, and it's a lifelong toil. It's something that we will, when we have children, the way that we raise and rear our children is going to require this balance of what it is that what I consider the masculine and the feminine, what Amari is going to bring and what I'm going to bring. And there are going to be moments where I need to kind of sit back, boy. You know what I mean? It don't take all that. Maybe this requires a softer touch. And in order for that softer touch to make its way forward, Amari may have to be a little bit more forceful with how she delivers the necessity of that. So
and you give her that space,
and you have to. This is the other thing too. I grew up in a very I grew up very affluent, obviously, right? Because my dad's a physician, but also a pastor and a farmer, right? So I always tell people he could save your soul, he could feed your body, and he could heal you. He got a corner on the market of humanity, right? He can do it. Yeah. So, and because of that, we grew up in a very sometimes it was scientific, sometimes it was spiritual. Yeah. Sometimes there was a methodology to the approach in the way that we were reared and raised. And sometimes we were given space to be creative and artistic. My dad's also a musician. Dang, for real? Phenomenal voice. He was the minister of music at church for 19 years. Mm-hmm. And then transitioned into becoming a pastor. And then, so me and all my siblings, we all play every instrument, right? We play violin, piano, and the drums, but that's because we had that flex. So I have to say, there's this emotional intelligence that was engendered in me and my family that I carry into this relationship. There's a different set of emotional intelligence that comes from Amari because of the way that she was raised. And understanding emotional IQ and, again, finding pathways for those two things to meld into a union is something that we are still working on, but I think we've done a really great job of. And that to the men that are watching this, that is a real position of discomfort. And people always, you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. But are you really? You know what I mean?
Are you really comfortable being uncomfortable?
Do you know what it feels like to be uncomfortable? Are you sitting in that discomfort and then doing the things to kind of brush off those rough edges? I think that's the job. That's the thing that a lot of that is what we're still working on. But
so y'all give each other the grace to go through those phases.
100%.
I thought that reminded me. I thought of something to answer to that question, which I feel like you showed me how to depend on people. I think that he forced me to or this relationship forced me to be open to trusting somebody in your life. And I was I can do it all by myself. I don't need help. I'm an only child. I can do it all. And I think this relationship has taught me the submission piece, yes, but then also you have someone to help you. Let him do it.
God, dog.
And I think that was that.
You have flashbacks about how hard that was to try to get there?
Oh man.
Look how she looked. She
because the thing about Amari, what she said earlier that I don't know what's the word you used to describe me. Intentional.
Yeah.
I'm super intentional. You know what it is? I'm just very decisive. Amari likes to weigh the pros and the cons for hours and really think about even this marriage. Oh my goodness, we are 5 hours in on our path, our search for a song for her bridesmaids to walk into.
I'm very
5 hours. I'm talking driving in the car. I'm okay, how about this one? Beyonce, we played every Beyonce song. We now know that it may or may not be a Beyonce song still. Like,
I put a lot of thought in my choices.
I may or may not be
I'm just very, and with me, it's like, oh no, I know exactly what it is from you and the guys, you know? I'm just very decisive.
But see, yin and yang. Remember we were talking about how.
Exactly.
You said 5 hours.
Exactly.
to pick out the song.
No, we are
it's
You know what
gonna be
song?
right.
You got your song?
I know my song.
Okay, so you got your song. You just ain't got
that
their
one
song.
took about 3 hours.
I knew,
About 3 hours.
I knew that song. I knew that one.
And so when y'all look at that, how did y'all choose to not make it about the person, but to attack the thing? Meaning that oftentimes you can find things where you just be like, gosh, you just get on my nerves. Why are you so difficult? Why are you so this? Why are that? Instead of saying, no, it's just this thing. It's this is the song that we're trying to pick. It has nothing to do with me. It's not that I'm just a terrible person, can't make good decisions. It's just that this moment means so much to me that I want the right song for this. How did y'all find that in the relationship as y'all were dating when y'all are challenged? Because relationships will challenge you. How did y'all decide to continue choosing each other over and over again and not letting the thing destroy y'all?
I mean, I think we're still growing together and learning each other, but I think that we are intentional in how we want our relationship to be. Like, we want it to be God-centered. So like that intentionality is like, when there's conflict, like, let's start with like pray.
Yes.
Like let's just soften. Like, we know we are all riled up, you know, like let's just figure out. Sometimes we even like have to write it down, like, cause you're so emotional. It's like, what is it we really need to get across to each other? But I think we're figuring out like how to resolve conflict and how to like figure out what the thing is, name the thing, and like fix the thing and not like worry
Tear each
about
other apart in the process.
Like it was like, it took us a while to figure out our flow, but I think we've gotten a lot better, and we still like, we have to call each other out on it. Like, Amari, you're doing that thing where you like shut down because you're emotionally overwhelmed.
Or Adam,
and I'm like, I am shutting down.
It's disrespectful and rude, and you need to reel it back.
And then we kind of go our separate ways. We come back and say, okay, like,
I do think breaks, for me, it's one word: therapy.
Absolutely.
Seriously.
Y'all did premarital counseling?
Yeah, doing it currently. We still have one more session. My father's doing our premarital counseling.
How did that feel to have his father? Did you feel like it was bias?
No.
Bias against me?
No.
He's gonna be hard on you, ain't it?
It's always been my fault. No, I'm joking. Dad. I love you, Dad.
Like, Dad, whose side are you on?
Hers.
It's like, I'm on her side because
the way she can work my dad now is wild.
Work?
No, you be like, she gets all
the
the things I don't. If I need something from my father now, I'd ask Amari to ask him.
He got you. You got that soft spot?
He does. Everybody does. Look at that.
Look how she looking.
His dad is amazing. His dad is incredible. And also, I think too, it's just like, I didn't have a dad for so many years.
Oh yeah.
So like, I love hearing fatherly advice. Like, when we get in trouble, like when Adam is in trouble, I feel like the fear in my spirit. I'm like,
Amar always says my voice changes. I sit up straighter whenever everything changes whenever Dad comes around.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I mean, and that's true. And I hope to garner the same response from my sons.
Yep.
And
it's called respect.
Yes.
Yes, respect.
And it's not. That's the thing. When you know real respect.
Yep.
Respect isn't just like, it's not an idea. It's a state of being. It's a way of carrying yourself. It's a way that you speak, the way you talk, your posture, everything, tone. That's the other thing too about having my dad. My dad's actually going to be officiating our wedding, and so he's like, he's always been my. I could almost cry. I actually did cry like about 2 weeks ago. I had to ask him for something really big, and he's always been just super, super solid. Like, if you need something, if I ever need anything, I know for a fact there's one person. There's many people, but there's one person
always
that if I call, it's going to get done without any qualm. And that's just who he is as a person. Matter of fact, my dad baptized Amari.
Oh,
really?
Yes.
He
did.
Wow.
He did.
Yeah. I was supposed to get baptized.
Had to be special.
So special. I was supposed to get baptized like I was younger, and like timing just never really worked out. And like, I wanted my childhood pastor to baptize me, and I had this list of things I needed to do this year, and I said, I need to get baptized. And I called him, and he was like, and I asked him, he was like, yes.
Absolutely.
When I see you next time, yes. Like, and he baptized me, 2-3 months ago?
Was it in the lake? Or was it another?
It was
y'all got
pool in
land.
the
Y'all
church.
did it in a lake somewhere.
A pool in the church. A pool in the church.
But it's so special. Like,
yeah. I guess again, like this portion of the segment is devoted to my father because of the importance of that strong masculine energy, that strong man. There just is nothing like it. There's no other feeling of comfort of. And again, like this is the response. If you didn't have that, that doesn't mean you won't ever. And it doesn't have to be your dad. You know what I mean? That's the role that I'm playing in this relationship is very much so like originates from the role that my father played in my life and in the life of my family. And again, it doesn't have to be just that person. There are really strong role models and examples of what it means to be a strong man. I just think you have to be like intentional about how you get them and how you invest in those relationships.
What did it feel like seeing your dad baptize your future wifey?
Oh man. It was top 5 moments of my life. If we are going to have God at the center and the foundation of our relationship, then that public expression of your inward belief is something that I think is very important. And Amari had these ideas. She wanted to go and get baptized in the River Jordan, and I was with all that too. I was like, let's do it. Well, let's do it.
You're talking about another trip? Let's do it.
Let's go. But when it's funny too because Amari didn't even tell me that she was gonna have my dad baptized.
Oh, she didn't tell you that?
I found out. It was like we were going home, and she was like, "Oh yeah, your dad's gonna baptize me this weekend."
I did.
I was like, "What?" I was like, "Who? Barris? Dr. Matt?" She's like, "Yeah." I called him and asked him, and I was like, hold on, you have his number? No, I'm joking.
How you get his number?
No, we've been on group chat since the beginning. But no, it's one of those moments where it's just like it's another point of confirmation. You know what I mean? Like this really is the thing that God has for me, and it just you can tell. I hope everyone can tell. Like I've never been this happy in my life.
It's so evident.
I've never been this like.
Let me tell you something. It's so beyond happiness. It's a I am well within my soul.
Yeah.
That's what I get from y'all. It's saying that y'all are in awe with the omniscience of God. That God knows Adam so well. He knows Amari so well. He knows the plans he has for each one of y'all individually and now collectively. And he said, I'm going to do my best work. You know what I'm saying? God going to do his big one. So he said, I'm going to do my big one on y'all.
I'm ready.
And I want y'all to notice that I did it.
Yeah.
And so when I hear y'all talk, y'all get ready to tell a story and y'all be like, it's like I can see your mind thinking like, gosh, I remember.
How do I even explain what happened or what I'm feeling or the pure like supernatural nature of it all? How do I deliver that in conversation is really, and it's funny, we were praying on the way over here. It's like, God, give us the words to properly evangelize what you've done for us, because it is not us.
To properly evangelize what you've done for us.
Yes, absolutely. No, seriously. And it's funny, another thing too, you set intentions at the top of the year or whatever else. But I set intentions around this relationship. And we revisited our intentions around this relationship at the top of the year. We were doing the Daniel fast. And what I realized is I was a little bit off in what I was asking for. I was asking for, obviously for God to be the center of our relationship, for us to have a relationship that's filled with joy, peace, happiness, that the fruits of the Spirit manifest themselves in our life, right? And then what I actually realized is, what I asked myself, what I asked is, why? So why do you want all these? Who's it for? Why? That's really the Holy Spirit, like, convicted me with that. And I started going through all these gymnastics around, well, I want it because I want to see the kingdom extended, and all that is true, yes. But how and why? And then I really got boiled down to is in Shreveport, Louisiana, the phenomenal city that I'm from, I really see my dad as like
Rihanna. Y'all hear me say Rihanna all the time. My technical director, she's from Shreveport.
Shout out to Shreveport. Shout out to Caddo Magnet High School, best performing arts magnet high school in the world.
There it is.
But I look at my dad's position in the community, And that is the North Star for me. The thousands of acres, the massive clinic, the really effective and God-driven, Bible-tested church, like all of those things, that's the North Star for me. And I begin to ask, what is it about those things? Why do you want those things? Why am I trying to fashion myself after that? And truly what I realized is there is a responsibility for those of us that are kingdom-driven, for those of us that have been touched by the Creator, been gifted with the things that God has gifted us, to do that, to evangelize, right? But to do it in a way that isn't telling, but is showing. And so what I realized is the way for us to do this is for us to literally live our best life.
Yes.
Like, and do it loudly.
That part.
And on purpose.
That part.
And then drive all of the direction and the glory to God. For people not to think that it is you, but he that is at work in you. And that is the thing that has driven every decision that we've made collectively, to the way that we live on Instagram, the way that we live in real life is the same. You see the ups, you see the downs, the way that we live at work, the way that we live on vacation, it's the same. It's on purpose. And it is to show the world through our actions what God is capable of in your life when you truly put him first. And again, we have not been perfect. So many years of our life, I've always been a believer and a follower of Christ. I've never been this happy. I've never lived this loudly and enjoyed my life so much. And that's because since I've been in this relationship, have made the decision to put God ahead of every decision, ahead of every conversation, ahead of everything that we do, individually and collectively.
Amari, what does your mom say about this?
My mom loves Adam.
I love her mom. That's my mom.
Literally.
For real.
I think
she gets on my nerves. I love her.
But that's my mom.
I get on her nerves. I love her. She loves me. That's my girl.
To see that, to come in that intimate space with him willing her into, the hospital, what did she say about that?
Oh my gosh, she said something about to cry, but she was like, she said something. She was so happy, just like getting to know him briefly before her transplant. And after she was telling me, I was like, were you scared? And she was like, I just knew that if something happened to me, you'd be okay with Adam.
Yep.
Love you, baby.
Yep, that right there.
Thank you.
Love you, baby girl.
She said that. I was like, oh my God. She was like, I just felt like at peace because like you weren't by yourself and like he's such a good guy and all this stuff. So she loves Adam. She's very happy about this marriage.
That's my girl.
So the transplant, I used to be the content creator for Southwest Transplant Alliance.
Oh, wow.
Here in Dallas. They would hire me to come shoot videos where people who have donated organs and having the donor story and then the recipient story. And I've actually shot videos of people going in to get transplants. I've shot videos of cadavers where they, when they passed away, they donated their organs. I was around all of that, and I got a chance to hear some amazing stories, the beautiful stories of that. And it gave me an experience that I didn't even consider about someone's organ can help somebody else have a better quality life, and so I just thank God for giving me that opportunity, because when I'm hearing this, I'm hearing it on a deeper level because I know how important it is to be on a list and you're just waiting with bated breath of, are they gonna call my number up? And if they don't allow me to get this organ, I'm gonna die. It's life and death for a lot of people. And so I was just like, and then I'm hearing about the disparities, and that's a whole nother story. But it's like people be waiting, and then they get passed down because somebody else is in a more severe situation. So when you said that, I was just like, what does that feel like to be? And I'll tell you this: I had a guest on my podcast who she was blind and she needed a kidney, and she came on the podcast to solicit a kidney. I said, we're going to get you a kidney. And she came on the podcast, her and her husband, Rich, and we were telling the story about them and how she was blind and she couldn't see him when she had sight. As she started going blind, she could see him. Meaning she was curving him like, hey, I don't like him like that. Then she lost sight. And then she started seeing how he was caring for her, covering her, and was like, she said, I'm over here getting transfusions and he's the person that's there for me. He's that. Why am I tripping? This is who I need to be with. And so they came on, showed their beautiful story. The title was called Is Love Blind? And but her friend was watching the episode and said, I feel led to donate my kidney to you. Wow. And she'd been her friend for a while, and she kept hearing her going, getting her kidneys and stuff like that, going through dialysis, and never considered herself. And she said, how dare me sit here and hear my friend go on a podcast to solicit a kidney when I can do a test to see if I'm a fit. And she was a fit. And then they both came on the podcast to share the journey of the story. Beautiful stuff. That's why I love what God has curated with the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Let me tell y'all something. I love what God is doing in y'all's life. Thank you. I see it. I love when I see kingdom relationships. I love when I see how God does his best work. And people assume that when God brings y'all together or bring people together, that it's supposed to just be all easy. Everything, you ain't gonna have no disagreements. It's not gonna be, you said something, one of y'all said something about like,
smoothing the rough edges.
Yeah, smoothing out the rough edges. You know, we want to act like we all smooth. Everything is great. I don't need you. I'm fine the way I am. Instead of saying, no, there's some rough places in you, Lateris. That woman that God is going to bring to you, allow her to be the sandpaper that begins to rub against that area so that you can be finer, finer as gold, presented, instead of saying, I don't need you. I'm fine with who I am, and you fine with who you. Don't try to change me, and I ain't gonna try to change you. What is marriage? It's like, how in the world would we ever think that me as an individual and she as an individual, and we come together as one, that there ain't gonna be no change? And that's where you talk about the science of it all. From a scientific standpoint, if you get two things and bring it together, they're going to have to conform to the shape of, to become oneness. They can't be two individual shapes. And so that's what's so beautiful as y'all are walking this out in real life. What are you looking forward to as we wrap up? I'm going to ask Adam first. What are you looking forward to in marriage?
How real could I be? I mean,
that's very real. This is Dear Future Wifey. That's that yellow couch is transparent.
I'm looking forward to sex. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I was hoping you said that. I was praying and fasting that you would say just that.
I'm really looking forward to sex. Yeah.
Amen. Keep it 1,000.
That's
okay.
It. That's it.
That's it. All right.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, a whole lot more, but
focus.
Definitely sex.
Heavy on the sex. Keep it all the way real. Amen. Amen. Amari, what you looking forward to? Why she say something deep?
I am looking forward to just building a family with Adam. I don't think I've ever really thought about I really want to do this in any past relationship, and I am so excited to build just a life and a family with him.
So you want kids?
I do.
How many kids you want? Two. Y'all both in alignment with the two?
Yeah.
Two.
Let's see how one goes.
That's what it's going to be.
It's going to be.
She preferably both of them at the same time. That's what she wants.
She
wants some twins.
You see, you want twins?
She wants twins. She does.
One walk.
She does.
And so when you say that, that's important because a lot of times women are assumed to fantasize about the family with every guy they've been with. You said you never felt that with anybody else.
I mean, in theory, you think about it, you probably should, but
you don't
I never
feel it.
wanted to.
That part.
I was I guess I have to at some point, but but with Adam, I want to.
He said at some point.
It's I'm not afraid of who our sons are gonna become. I know he's would do
Oh, stop right there.
Sons, y'all heard her. Y'all heard her. Y'all heard her.
Yeah.
That's the first right there. But on the Dear Future Wifey podcast.
She said sons.
That's
She
the
said
first.
sons.
Usually she says girls.
She said girls, really?
It came out. It
came out. You want to take it
Come
back?
on, Jesus.
You want
want both.
to tell Rihanna to edit it out?
We want both.
We
need both.
Edit that out. And so let me ask, this is something you said that was key, because I'm not afraid of who my sons will become because of who their dad is.
Absolutely.
Can you unpack that for a little bit?
I think no shade, but I love I'm proud of who he is, and I would be so proud to have a son like Adam. And I think it's just I feel very confident in that, in ways I hadn't ever felt before. who the role model would be, you know, and I just think like role models are important. And like I'm very excited for this to be
no shade because she's thinking about passing. Talking
no
about
shade,
no shade.
All
hit or miss.
All shade, homie.
It's all shade, homie. Yeah. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest, Amari. Basically saying when I think about what I've been through, and had I had a oops in the past, I would be concerned about what my son would become.
Listen, I wasn't certain. I'm very certain about Adam.
Very certain about Adam.
Certain.
Listen, man, as we wrap this up, I just, again, say congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
Congratulations on y'all saying y'all I do's in the next 4 days. I'm happy for you. Y'all have done the work. You can hear it. Y'all give each other a safe space to express your feelings and not feel like the other person has been slighted. And another thing that I watch y'all do, y'all cover each other in, like, this is really brilliant that happens. And I'll just give y'all flowers, is that when you get ready to say something that may be deemed negative of the other person, you come back around and say something positive, or you'll put it on you. And me too. And see, I had to overcome this too. And this, like Adam said it when you said something about being in a place where you
submission.
It wasn't the submission part. I think it was the other part, because he came back and said about how he talks, that he may say stuff a little harsh.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But you said something about what you did or whatever.
I shut down.
Yeah, you
and
shut
his
down.
Tongue is
and he came and he said, and I'll be a little too harsh. You know what I'm saying?
True.
When I say, I want to point that out because that's so important in relationships. It's important because you have to understand that we're all on a struggle. And so some of the things that may be your trigger may trigger the other person. And now y'all both operating in the lowest denominator of yourself, the lowest version, or people may say the lowest frequency. That part may come out and you go, dang it, I don't like that I may talk too harsh. And she said, I may not like that I shut down, but I only shut it down because you was being harsh. And he was like, well, I was only being harsh because I saw you shutting down. And you know, it's like, let's take a beat. Take a moment. Let's figure this out.
Yes.
We're not fighting each other. It's not us. I love you. I'm not leaving. It's us against the world and us against this problem. So now let's see, what's the main thing? We want to be heard. Okay, cool. I hear you. Go ahead and talk, and I'll be quiet. Okay, now let me talk and let me get my feelings. Okay, right. Do we agree? We still don't agree? Okay, we'll agree to disagree. We'll come back later. Yes. Yeah. But those things, because I'm telling you, that's a challenge for me. You know, I'll talk and I'll be like, I got to be understood. You understand me? Before this conversation ends, I got to be understood in this conversation. And at times I'll go, okay, let me be quiet. Let me just be quiet.
It's important, though, to like know how to be understood. Like, this is what your partner needs to actually hear what you're saying. Like, and I need you to talk softly to me. Right. Because when you are not talking soft, I can't hear you.
Can't hear nothing.
So if you want your point to land, either write it down on a piece of paper so I can read it and whisper, or like say it nicely, and then I'm like, oh, that's what you were trying to say. I didn't hear you.
Gemini has been a great tool.
Oh yes,
the
learning language model.
Plug AI.
Yeah, right. It's been
Gemini. Could y'all sponsor Dear Future Wifey? He just said Gemini.
It's been a great tool to think through, to like have the conversation before you have the conversation, to have the conversation technically with yourself.
You be doing that
to think through. Okay, is this in? Because the thing is, the first thing you say typically is not, but we are so conditioned to like immediately respond. That we just do it, and it inevitably makes things worse. You know what I mean? And so then we get to a place where it's like, okay, now I got to fix it. And then you start actually thinking about what you. And the second thing you have to say probably still isn't really it. It's not.
So
you probably need
what Gemini
a third
show
party.
you?
It just it allows you, because like again, it's all prompting based on like, you know, what it's able to learn from the models that it pulls from, which is just other human beings, right? And so you're able to parse through and say, okay, I actually didn't mean to say that like that. I actually did mean what Gemini turned back to me. Like, that's actually what I was trying to get to. But because of my emotion, because of the rawness of how I'm feeling right now, I wasn't able to like clearly think through. And the thing is, like, Gemini is emotion agnostic. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you're tripping. Like,
that was passive aggressive.
That was
you like, I don't want to talk to you either.
Yeah. Then you mad at AI. Like, all right,
Let me be more direct I can get my point across in a way that is going to...
Right.
You find out you are the problem. You got a problem with me. You got a problem with Gemini. You got a problem with Chat GPT. You got a problem with
you are the problem.
You got a problem with your mama. You got a problem with everybody.
So, and the other thing that Amari said too that I think is really important is that we have found earlier you said, and you got to be okay with just like stopping. It is so hard to stop in the moment.
It was hard for me. I'm telling you, because I'm a work in progress. I already said my future wifey has some things that's them rough edges she's going to deal with, and until we perfect it.
You got to just stop. And that is sometimes, like, again, especially when emotions are high, that is literally the hard. That's the part where I feel, me personally, I'll talk to me personally. I won't talk about all the perfect people that are watching this. But me personally, I think that learning that, and giving yourself the space to stop, just pause and just rethink it, like think through things is I'm trying to figure out the way to articulate how important it is and also how difficult it is, because like it sounds great when you're telling your therapist or your counselor or whoever, like, okay, yeah, when we develop tactics that we're going to use in our relationship, something that very frequently comes up is, maybe you need a break. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll do that.
And don't ever do it.
But how many times have you actually done it? You know what I mean? For real.
But when you notice your cycle and you notice that like the point you don't get heard by continuing. You get hurt by like stopping.
Yeah, but that's the cycle. That's why it's called the cycle.
So you have to have that self-awareness. When you start to learn, I don't want to keep doing this no more.
Exactly.
I want to do something different. Yeah. Then you stop. We're not perfect.
I also too, man, before I can feel you trying to wrap us up, Laterius, I want to say this. I want to say thank you.
Yes.
Because everything happens in conversation. Like processing, thinking through, even like, again, like sharing stories, all of these conversations are ways that we as people, as humans, grow and become the versions of us that God wants for us to be, the versions for us that our partners need for us to be, that our families need for us to be. And so I think it's been a really interesting, even like professionally, it's been a really, really interesting point in time right now where everybody's given a mic. And some people would say that's like negative and it's bad, or like you need to take these mics away from somebody. But
it's like that's true. Podcasts away. They were talking about
some do need to be taken away. Terrace on mics. It does need to happen. But at the same time, there's some healing that's happening in like healthy and real conversations like this one that would not happen otherwise. And I do think that like the space and the way that you approach things is graceful, and it is intentional, it's purposeful, but it's also, I was talking earlier about the balance of art and science. I think you do a good job of balancing the art, the science, and the spirit, and allowing the spirit to be the thing that guides and tips the scales on when you will apply the theology or when you apply the practicum, and when you allow for people just to like share their experience and allow the humanity to live. And that's a very difficult thing to do. And that's a gift.
You noticed that, huh, Adam? Adam, you smart, huh? You over there smart, huh?
It's a gift.
So you peep that.
Just like God has given us all gifts. And if we don't use our gifts, then there will be someone in the world that doesn't make their way to the kingdom because of it. And that's a real responsibility that you have, or won't find their future wifey because of it.
Let me tell you something, man. For my third closing, you used to it because your daddy a pastor. Thank y'all so much. Thank you for those words of affirmation. That's my love language, is words of affirmation. Awesome. And for people to see my heart's intent when I do this, because along with this, it comes with its challenges. People may watch an episode that they're not fond of, and out of 300 episodes, they may focus on one or two that they didn't like their love story and be like, see, he's promoting struggle love. And I'm like, no, it's just that they struggled and they overcame it. They struggled for 5 years, overcame it for 28. But you want to say I'm promoting that. That's not your story. Let these people have their story and have a thriving marriage and build legacy. Stop making it so personal. And so I thank you so much for noticing that, acknowledging that, and having the intelligence and emotional wherewithal to realize my heart posture. Hey, y'all give it up for these amazing human beings. This is the last time y'all will even see them as singles. They finna be married
Super
in 4
excited.
days. So give it up for Adam McFarland and Amari Guisinger. Thank y'all so much for being on the Yellow Couch.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you, King and
Appreciate
Queen.
the space.
Stay tuned to the end for a letter to my future wifey.
Been writing these love letters to you.
Ladarian, thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, Black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, Black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While Ladarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our Black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, Ladarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young Black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse, I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless Black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm Laterras Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, the greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today. Oh, Lord, that episode was beautiful. Oh my God, that was so beautiful. I hope y'all found a lot of value. I hope y'all found encouragement. I hope you found restoration for your soul, because I certainly did. Well, here's my favorite part of the podcast where I speak to my future wifey. Dear future wifey, I won't just choose you on the day I say I do. I'll choose you every day after. I'll choose you when life is loud and when it's still. When we laugh until we cry, and when we cry until we heal. Even when it's hard, especially then, I'll choose you. Because love isn't just a feeling, it's a daily decision, a sacred vow in motion. And no matter what life throws our way, you'll never have to question where I stand. I'll be standing with you, always choosing your future hubby. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.